Let's bring in CBS News contributor Bob Schieffer, who has covered 9 presidents. It's always great to have you. Thanks for being here. I hope you have some time because a few things happened this week we have to discuss. Let's start with all of the turmoil at the White House. Have you ever seen infighting like this before?
This is just extraordinary. And I think I've said about 400 times during this campaign over the last 2 years, I've never seen anything like this. But I haven't, and I don't know anybody who has. And this thing that's unfolded over the last 2 days about this person who's supposed to be the new White House, quote, communications director, and he unloads on a reporter and then says it's all the reporter's fault. He said, I'll never trust him again. Well, why did he say that? Why would he just attack all the people inside the White House? And that's what's happened here. We keep hearing about all these leaks and the president's railing about them. These leaks are coming from the White House. They're not coming from up on Capitol Hill. I mean, I'm sure there are some that are. But this is stuff of people inside the White House. All of these various factions of the White House, each of them has their own press spokesman. Each of them has their own lawyer. I don't know what it is that the White House press office does, because everybody's kind of running his own ball game over there. And that really is unusual. I can't ever recall anything like this. And I do not see that it's helping the president in any way. I think we're going to look back on this week, unless they get themselves straightened out here, they're not going to get anything done. And this may be the week that we look back on and say this was the beginning of not getting anything done.
Maybe a new low, because that article that you were talking about, that Scaramucci was just quoted, you know, one profanity after the other. You can't even say anything that he said in this article on television. Is that a new low for the White House now?
Well, I mean, I think at best it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the White House. It's embarrassing for the country to have this kind of thing. This person is supposed to be the spokesman for the President of the United States. And I mean, I sure hope my grandchildren didn't hear any of that.
Absolutely.
Because I wouldn't want them to hear that. And then, you know, you go on, also happening this week, the President goes and speaks to the Boy Scout Jamboree, and the head of the Boy Scouts has to apologize. It's just one thing after another. It seems to be an administration that at this point is simply run amok. It's not only not getting anything done, I mean, it's just running around in circles.
Well, speaking of getting things done in dramatic fashion, early this morning, the health care vote completely unraveled. Were you surprised at that? And you know, what's the future for the health care bill now, and who's to blame for that?
No, I'm not surprised. And this has been a very unpopular, every version that has come up here has been unpopular. And the Republicans, again, what you're seeing in the White House, you're seeing, well, I'd say a cleaned up version, and at least an honorable version of that going on in the Senate, where the Republicans can't agree on a plan. And until they can figure out some kind of a plan and agree on it themselves, I think it's going to be very difficult to pass anything, because every time somebody comes up with a plan, you find that millions more people will not be covered. My wife, who's the smartest part of our family, she said, why don't they try this? Why don't the women of the Senate get together? A bipartisan group, they're all very smart people. Maybe they could come up with a plan, because the guys haven't come up with it yet. So right now, it's at ground zero. There's nothing going to happen.
What did you make of Senator McCain's decisive no vote that basically did it in?
Well, Senator McCain is a true American hero, and he's a person that all of us can admire, whether we agree even with his vote on this. Senator McCain votes his conscience on every vote. And so if he doesn't want to vote for it, he'll be glad to tell you why, and he does it when he gives a lot of thought. I don't always agree with the votes that Senator McCain takes, but I know that he does it because he thinks that's the right thing to do. So I think all of them could look to McCain, and I think a lot of them did. I mean, think about this man 2 weeks ago had brain surgery for cancer, and he managed to get back. And he thought it was important that they bring it up and vote on it. And that's why he came back. But he said when he came back to Washington, so far I haven't seen anything that I can vote for. And he still feels that way.
The president tweeted after the vote, "Let Obamacare implode, then deal." What do you make of that messaging in wake of all of this?
Well, you know, it's, who knows? I mean, I've stopped a long time ago trying to interpret these tweets. I don't know what that's about or why he chooses to do it that way. But what I do find interesting is the president finds a way to step on his own story, you know, and just when the conversation seems to be going in one direction, then he comes out with a tweet that, you know, either undercuts somebody in his own administration, whether it be the Secretary of State, this surprise move that about transgender people, that was almost getting to be not an issue. Everybody seemed happy with the way things are going, and I must say, I think that we should find a way for every person who wants to serve his country in some way or the other. We ought to be able to find a way for them to do that. Maybe not every single person is qualified for every single job, whether in the military or in Job Corps or the America Corps. We ought to be able to find a way for people who want to make a contribution and serve their country. We ought to find a way for them to be able to do that.
Well said. Bob Schieffer, thank you so much for being here. I think your wife's onto something.
Well, we'll see.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.